Good morning, everyone. Greg here with Millsview Ag Services. Wanted to provide a quick update, basically revolving around corn, agronomy, and what we're seeing in the field as we evaluate a lot of product this week. I'm going to start first by a little bit of review of how we got to where we are with the conditions that we've had this growing season. We had a lot of our customers base in this area planted corn. We had some planted corn in April, the majority of it the first week of May. Guys finished up about the middle of May. The first event that affected what we are seeing right now probably came on May the 6th into May the 7th. That morning we had a very hard beating rain after a lot of that corn was planted. As we can tell, as we look just in about any field we go in that time frame, we had some uneven emergence. That appears to be those plants have ears on them, but they definitely are off type. A lot of 3/4 ears, some half ears, but it has affected the variability in the stand. As we went through June or the rest of May, and then especially into June, as everyone knows, we were really dry. We seemed to maintain plant health fairly well, although we were living on the edge, it seemed like the most of June. We got to the end of June, we had the derecho event. Some wind with that did a little bit of some slight goosenecking on some of this corn, which kind of affects ear size sometimes once in a while. A little bit of moisture there the first week of July. We go through July fairly dry, but doing fairly well, but then again we start teetering on the edge of really having some major problems. Time frame that comes to mind for me, and if we remember back, about July 26th through the 28th, we had 3 really hot days in a row. We were pretty doggone dry. We had very warm nighttime temperatures. I do believe that's the time frame that probably had a lot of effect on tipping some of our corn back. Some areas, depending on conditions, soil type, where we got a little bit of zippering effect. We are not seeing it to the effect that we did last year, but it is out there. Of course, everyone knows as we move into August, depending on the location here in our area, we had a lot of rain that first week. Some areas a little bit shorter, but there again, that helped us out a lot. And then of course, we've been pretty dry after that. So, and hot. We had this terrible heat spell, which I think has had an effect on what we're seeing right now also. So what we're seeing in general is fairly healthy corn yet. Well, let me back up. We can see that some of the April corn, I noticed about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, we were seeing some ghost plants out there, some top dieback. Now we're starting to see that a little bit in the first week of May planted corn. We're also seeing something that I haven't seen in a while, or maybe ever, is we're seeing some plants that are completely green from top to bottom, but yet that ear shank's wanting to give, and we're drooping that ear down a little bit. I've got a sample here of this plant has just started to do that, but we want that husk to turn brown and finish straight upright. Some of these shanks are just it doesn't take much, starting to give a little bit, so that's a watch out, because that is the lifeline for that ear. When we refer to just a little review, when we refer to the top dieback, this plant here, top dieback from anthracnose, we've already got a hanging ear, which is going to affect we've got a good ear development here on this plant, but it is going to affect the kernel weight. This particular plant did have crown rot, and it has a little bit of anthracnose stalk rot after we split stalks. The areas that we're noticing the top dieback, some ghost plants, and the ear shanks that are starting to droop can vary from field to field. Compaction has a lot to do with it. Of course, on the outside rows, we're going to see a lot more of that as you're driving down the road. It is worse on the outside rows. Off-type plants, late emerge plants, and there is a lot of that out there, and that was due not to the conditions from what I saw at planting time. We all did a good job with that, really good, but that rain there on May 6th really kind of messed things up for some of us as far as getting some emergence differences. Those plants appear to be more susceptible to some of the problems that we're seeing. So it can vary from field to field. Is there anything we can do with anthracnose and crown rot? Well, we're working on that. It is really tough to stop that. Not just a simple fungicide application is the answer. I guess the answer is really we got to do whatever we can do to keep those plants as healthy as possible, and we are going to be reviewing this problem. It seems to be coming up every year, and it is a yield robber. So moving to the disease front, boy, that dry June really held off a lot of things, I think. Even though we had some wet and humid weather, gray leaf spot seems to be in check. There is a little bit of northern out there. Yes, we have found some tar spot. We have not seen it move whatsoever. As of right now, I'm really not concerned about that. We're really getting later in the year here. We have a lot of dry, warm weather coming. I just don't think that's going to be an issue. It is present, but it did not accelerate, so that's a good thing. So to wrap up, as we're getting into harvest here in another month or so, I can honestly say we're not going to have the finish that we had last year. Last year was just perfect as far as finishing test weight on a crop. I think we have a good crop out there. I think we're going to have some really good fields. I think we're going to have some that are going to be a little more average, just because of the differences we have in ear size, and then also the way this corn is finishing. Some of these plants that might die off a little quicker than they should, it's going to make a big difference on test weight. So I don't think our test weight's quite going to be there, but I think we all probably expect that. We will have a blog to go with this video with some links and updates on some of these diseases we're seeing. There's some really good information in there. And then we will address what we're seeing in the soybean fields here just a little bit later this week. So thanks everyone. Have a good day.